And we are live in the Heroes Hot Seat, episode 6. Welcome back this week, everybody. I have with me tonight a guest that should be perfect for the moment of the season that we are in, I think. None other than the owner of the Green Machine, Mr. Alex Boydock. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on, Brendan. Good to be here.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really good episode, just based on the questions I have for you and based on the questions that I got sent in today. So I think this should be a good show. So
great.
Anyway, just to get started here, of course you are the Green Machine. This is your logo. A great scene from a couple years ago of AJ Green fighting Jalen Ramsey. Really, just a perfect moment in the NFL. I think would be the best way to describe it.
Absolutely.
All right. So before we get started here, Alex, as is tradition in the show, I got to light you on fire. Welcome to the hot seat. Hopefully you have not dressed in layers. It's going to get toasty tonight. It's going to be spicy. Hopefully you're prepared. Anyway, we'll go ahead and get started with another tradition, the hot start. This is where you have a minute to just say whatever you want, Alex. If you got a bone to pick with somebody in the league, this is your chance to do it. If you've got something to say to the league as a whole, this is your chance to do it. If you need to tell your mom you love her or something like that, this is the chance to do that too. So the floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Shout out to the Mafia Queen, right? But what a year it's been for the league. I think that's all I got to say. I mean, we have the two expansion teams have injected some new life and new strategy into the whole league, and we've had some big trades, more going down in this last week and a half. And I feel like the Discord's always been popping, during game days and stuff. And then we've had, obviously like the bet has been a big storyline that people have watched. And, we got two good shows, like regularly putting out content, that are kind of good reviews of the week or, good sit downs with different people. So I think we had a great year, putting ourselves in a position to, keep this thing going for years to come. There's definitely been drama. We got 3 teams vying for 2 playoff spots, for this last week. And, even like within the top tier, you got like people battling for the 1 and 2 spot and the 1 and 2 spot and then the draft next year. So that's all I got to say.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good stuff. And actually, after this past week, there are now 4 teams vying for 2 playoff spots because of Paul's loss last week. He's now at 8-4, I believe, and you have him pipped in points for at the moment, and so now he's in danger of falling out of a playoff spot. So it'll be an interesting last week.
I was actually including him and not including Johnny.
Oh, okay.
That was my 3 teams. Paul is definitely in it on the verge of a collapse, but who knows?
Right. Yeah. We'll have to see. So anyway, with that, that'll conclude the hot start, and we'll move on here to the Fast 5. It should be a good Fast 5. But to start it off, we mentioned your team name earlier, the Green Machine. My first question, Alex, is: was this a mistake to name your team after a player, especially one that you no longer have and is likely a season or so away from retirement?
Probably. To sum everything up, it's probably just a bad thing in general to name somebody after a player. Like, unless you start with like a quarterback that has a 15-year career, like that's, naming a team after a player or like a historic, player like, Austin Dwyer has, with Mike Vick, that'll work. But like a current player, like if I went and named my team after Tyreek Hill this week, like the running cheetahs and something, a few years down the line, you're going to ask me the same question. So
right. Well, a follow-up to that would be: will you petition the league at some point to get a name change, or are you sticking with it?
I don't know. I think I might kind of be in the same boat as like Patrick. I know he mentioned petitioning, and I think Shamu mentioned it too. But I do like what Ryan's done with bringing in the tractors, kind of the green machine for the merch. So, maybe I could pivot to that route if my petitions get declined.
Sure. Fair enough. And you know what? I have to say that while even though your team is named after a player who's no longer on your team and might be retiring soon, it's not the worst name in the league. But it's better by a mile than one particular name that stands out in my head. But we won't get into that at the moment. A discussion for another time. You know who you are. Okay, moving on to question 2. So at one point in time this year, Alex, you were 0-3. So it was like not looking like a good start. And then all of a sudden you rattled off a W7 and you were 7-3 through week 10. So hypothetically, if you were to miss the playoffs, this would likely be the third worst collapse in league history, behind only my team's two epic collapses. So, what are your thoughts on this? Are you nervous to be on that leaderboard with me, or what's the mindset going into this final week of the regular season?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you're discussing playoffs or standings in the league, like being in company with you generally isn't the best. But I think I'm exactly where I expected myself to be. I don't remember your guys' predictions in the beginning, but I had myself at 8-5. I thought I would lose to Johnny in week 5 and beat Chris last week. One thing I missed on, but you never know. But 8-5 is where I projected myself and where I think I can be after this weekend. So, I mean, it would be tough to miss the playoffs at this spot. But at 7-3, even I wasn't comfortable. I knew I need to have to win a couple more games with Scott coming, hot on my tail.
Right. Yeah. And you know what? I do remember that I had you and Scott both pegged at 8-5 at the beginning of the year. And I think Scott also had the exact same prediction. So that seems to be almost exactly what's going to happen with Chris being the lone wild card for the most part. That he's definitely overperformed his preseason rank. And I've underperformed my preseason rank, obviously due to some injuries, but and I think Paul has overperformed his projection as well. So so interesting teams, but you and Scott, we've nailed those two predictions basically. So that'll be I guess it's not nailed yet. You got 1 week to go, and Scott could lose to Chris, so I guess we'll see.
Anything gonna happen.
Right. Speaking of Chris beating Scott, moving on to question 3, what would you be willing to give your brother if he were to beat or tie Scott this week? Would you be willing to give him half your winnings from the bet? Because obviously you can only win the bet if and sort of make the playoffs too if Scott doesn't win. So, is Chris going to get a little cut of something? Is that how the Boydak Mafia works?
Yeah, maybe he has to. I mean, he needs to give me something back after what he did to me last week. Granted, I probably shouldn't have been in the position I was in, relying on a 60-point performance to get myself there. But, I would really love to see Chris beat Scott this next week. I would have really loved to see Patrick maybe start Deebo Samuel last week, so I wouldn't be sweating the bet at all. But who knows what will happen? I don't know what I'll give Chris. Maybe a firm handshake, after his victory next week.
Perfect. Well, Chris, just know you got something coming your way if you can pull it off this week. So your efforts will not go unrecognized. So, all right. So number 4, assuming Scott does beat Chris, what is your plan to avoid punishment from the leader of the Boydak Mafia? How are you going to avoid avoid the wrath of the leader, Mrs. Boydock. What's going on there?
I don't know if I can. I mean, I feel like it'd be deserved for me at this point. I made a few mistakes in my lineups throughout the year. So, like, if we tie and I lose by points, I definitely could find 50 points or whatever it'll be that I missed out by. So, whatever I have, I'm sure it's coming.
Gotcha. Yeah. You know what? We're all rooting for you. And, we'd like to see you in the league next year, but if you don't turn up at the rookie draft, we'll know what happened. So, best of luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, and then another tradition, question 5. Alex, I need to know who your least favorite owner in the league is and why. And then after you answer Scott, besides Scott, who else in the league do you have some beef with?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody knows it, and I think I announced it at the beginning of the year. I guess so. But anybody else I have beef with? Not really. Maybe a little bit of Patrick, because I wish he would have started Deebo Samuel over Hyde last week, because it would have been fun to kind of watch Scott's soul get crushed on a Justin Tucker extra point with 2 minutes left in the game. And like what happened to me, but I don't know. I don't really have any beef with anybody else.
Fair enough. Yeah, you know what? If the biggest beef was with Scott, I think it's well deserved. He's been stirring up a lot of stuff this year, so you got to keep that pot stirred. I like it. So, and then a little bonus 6th question for you, Alex. Does it hurt to have a Joe Burrow jersey and then not have Joe Burrow on your team?
It does a little bit. I thought that Austin was definitely going to go, running back number 1 last year, but I mean, Joe Burrow makes sense. He's been a stud so far. Obviously, aside from destroying his knee, but I find myself watching every single snap the Bengals play. So I'd say I'm a Burrow fan now, which is kind of I've adopted him over AJ Green now. But yeah, it does hurt that he's not on my team. I was kind of thinking, maybe Burrow has a rough season, and I can trade somebody for him at the end of the year. That's still possible to happen, I guess. But if Austin was in playoff position and he couldn't use Joe Burrow the rest of the year, I would definitely be making a push for him. But yeah, I'm happy to see what Joe Burrow is doing so far. He looked pretty good this year, despite the record.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, still a great jersey to have. Just it's got a sting every time you put it on a little bit, I guess. But all right, well, that concludes the Fast Five, Alex. And now we're going to move on to one of my favorite sections of the show, Guest Pepper. And we've had some people write in some questions to the show here, and I'm really looking forward to asking them. Hey, Alex, can you hear me?
Yep, I can.
Shoot, I think I might have lost audio real quick. Hold on, let me see if I can fix something here.
Okay.
All right, hold on. Okay, I think I got it. Is the audio fixed?
I don't know. I can still hear you. I'm on the YouTube, but I have it muted.
Wait a minute. What's up with the? Yo, what's up with that toilet?
That's Scott.
Oh shit, Scott, did you hack into the show?
Yeah.
Hey fellas, I just wanted to join real quick. I wanted to tune in live with a picture of Alex and his team. Here, watch this. I just went pee. Now take a look at what happens now and what's been happening with Alex's team.
Are you sure that's not your dad?
Wow. You know what happens when you wake up. I just woke up from a nice little 20-minute power nap here, but I came in just in time to see Alex's team go down the toilet. I hope everyone enjoyed that. How's it going, Brendan and Alex?
Yeah, it's going well. Alex is being a great guest. Thanks for hacking into the show, Scott. Really appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. Anything to humiliate Alex's team a little more, We all have good fun with
great.
that around the league.
Great.
All right, let me see if I can kick him out of here. I'm getting tired of looking at him. All right. Okay, I think I got it. All right, let's get him out of here. Okay, perfect. Yep. All right, he's gone. Good riddance. Anyway, we'll jump back into the guest pepper section here, Alex. Anyway, so first question, we got 3 from Austin. So Austin, speaking of the Joe Burrow jersey, he wants to know when he's going to get royalties from you for wearing his players' jerseys. When is he going to get a kickback from you?
I don't know. Can he prove ownership of it?
That's a good point, Austin.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what. I'm not making anything off of him, so.
Good point.
Or maybe I think it should almost be the other way around because I'm like representing his team. If he goes and wins anything, like I'm kind of promoting him. So.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. You know what? That's a good point. Hey, Austin, I think you owe Alex some money for promoting your fantasy team for you. So,
budget kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. So pay up, Austin. All right. And then another question from Austin. So he wants to know if you think the Trubisky 2-point conversion will become as notorious as the other iconic plays, such as like the Stafford fumble in the championship, or the great Richie stat correction on a Wednesday. Where do you think the Trubisky 2-point conversion is going to rank there?
It definitely depends what happens this next week. If Chris goes or like Patrick beats Mr. Hornig, like I beat Austin, like it's kind of gonna be a wash under the bridge. But I mean, I know I definitely won't ever forget it. It was the like perfect situation for Chris to have a defensive touchdown. The Bears score between like 20 to 25 points, all passing touchdowns. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I'll definitely remember it. And I think, based on what happens this next week, it will depend how, affect how it is in our Dynasty war.
Yeah, absolutely. It might live in infamy, basically, depending on what happens here. That was such a weird matchup too, because like at one point in time in the day, Chris was like plus 60. He was projected to win by 60, and then like his team kind of fell off slightly, and then like your team picked it up with a couple players later in the like first set of afternoon games, and then Tyreek Hill just exploded, and then all of a sudden it was just the tightest of games that one of the tightest ones we've had all year. I mean, obviously Mr. B beat me by like 4 yards or something like that, 5 yards. But this one was a 2-point conversion away from going the other direction. So it was a really close matchup when it looked like it might not have been. So that was really exciting. So, All right, Austin's third and final question. He wants to know if Allison is certified in performing the Heimlich maneuver, because he thinks that you might need it here in this last week.
I think she is. I know she just got her CPR certification, so she might need that, later in the week too. But we'll find out.
Perfect. Well, you've got the necessary support then in the house, just in case the worst case scenario unfolds. All right. I know Scott hacked in here and called in, but he also sent in some guest pepper questions as well. So his first one, he wanted you to please provide at least 5 detailed reasons why he is the coolest person you have ever met.
Oh, okay. Let's see. He says, he's a nice guy. He puts a lot of people before himself. That's 2. He says sorry a lot for no reason. That's 3. He's got a pretty cool haircut, and he can skate like a demon.
Wow. All right. I love it. I love the genuineness of that response. And Scott, maybe you should take a page out of Alex's book, and just act like a decent person every once in a while.
And it looks like he drinks his water, well, because that piss was pretty clear.
Yeah. Absolutely. You know what, Scott? Really good job staying hydrated, especially after you woke up from a nap too. Because sometimes you get a little dehydrated. Right, get a little dehydrated when you wake up. So good on you, Scott. All right. His next question. I know you were polite to him there, but these next questions aren't going to be very nice. He wants to know if Allison is going to be disappointed that your net worth will be $100 less next week than it is currently today.
It probably won't be, actually, because I've been riding that Tesla wave, so it might balance out.
Perfect. All right, well, Scott. Actually, Alex is making money next week, so your question doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
I plan on it. We'll see what Elon wants to do.
Right. Hopefully, he doesn't tweet something.
Yes.
All right. He wants to know for his third question here, if after the season you want to just go ahead and accept the following trade from him. He'll trade you Aaron Rodgers for 3 first-round picks and Nick Chubb.
I'll probably say no to that. I don't think I can afford Aaron Rodgers. I probably would be able to make room, but I don't think I could do it.
Yeah, fair enough. He's expensive. I mean, who knows if Scott can keep him? So he's got some decisions to make. So, yep, Scott, he declines. So, all right. And then he wrote in a comment here. He just wanted me to tell you that Cole Beasley is better than Stephon Diggs, and I don't know if you have a response to that or just want to let it hang in the air there, but yeah, that's what he said.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. You can look at the stats maybe for the year. I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, Scott. Yeah, go look at the stats between Cole Beasley and Stephon Diggs, and then get back to Alex if you still believe that.
I'll look at them myself too.
All right. Let us know.
Last time he did tell me that Cole Beasley had a really good day. Or the last time when they played the Cardinals, I think. I sent him a video of Stephon Diggs catching that touchdown near the end of the game. And then he sent me the stat line because Beasley had 11 catches or something. He had one more than Diggs, I think, that week.
Well, is that the only week that he's outscored Diggs?
Probably not.
What do you got for those stats? Is Diggs outscoring Beasley?
Let's see. The leading receiver, he's got 22. Diggs has 22 more catches, about 280 more yards, and only one more touchdown.
All right, so like 60 points more-ish.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, just about.
All right. Well, Scott, Stephon Diggs is actually a 60-point better player than Cole Beasley. So maybe your statement will be true by the end of the year, but it's not now. So, check your stats before you write in a question. And then his last question, he wants to know, why does your team suck?
Well, I think it starts at the top. I'm riding Derek Carr, and he left me in a roadside ditch last week. So
yeah, he got outscored by Nathan Peterman on his own team, which is really something.
Yeah, that really hurt when that game got so out of hand that they just put their starters on the bench. And they're like, damn it, I need these points. They really did.
Yeah, I mean, the way Carr was playing, you might have gotten lucky that they pulled him out of the game.
Yeah, he might have saved me a little bit. I don't know.
You would have had 2 negative players in 1 year at the quarterback position. That would have been impressive. But yeah, so Scott starts at the top. But I would argue that at the beginning of the year, even though you're 0-3, his team sucked more. So,
Yep.
Things.
Yeah, and I told him.
Yeah, things
So
have
can you
changed
already
since
tell
then.
me?
Yeah, things have changed since then, and he made an effort to not suck, and I guess it's still debatable whether he sucks or not anymore. But I'll tell you what, my team sucks. That's for sure. But
Yeah, Scott did his part. He's playing to win. I've only traded for Carr. That's about it. And then I traded for the Browns defense, which probably hurt me more than it helped.
Yeah, I was starting them in my redraft league, and they put up -1 points with that scoring. I was like, "What the heck is going on?" They were playing Jacksonville.
Yeah, I did the same thing in another league, and I tied because they had -1.
Great.
Could have started nobody.
Yeah, so I felt your pain there. That was brutal. Was not a fan. All right, so that'll conclude the guest pepper section. That was a lot of fun. Lots of good questions in there. So now we're going to move on to the heat check. So for this, it's not really a debate, but we're going to be discussing tanking. This has been a really hot button topic in the league as of late.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of want to know like what the thoughts that you have on it. You haven't really said much in the Discord about it, so kind of get your thoughts. If you're like not a huge fan of it, do you have any strategies possibly to prevent it? And then maybe you can also start by explaining your decision to start tanking in week 11.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that is up for debate itself. I was the second highest score last week with a. I think that's the first time I've done that all year. So
you tanked perfectly to just barely lose. It was really impressive.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, tanking is definitely something we could figure out. I mean, I think it's entirely fine. When it's Shinwoo versus Kevin. In like a game that legitimately does not matter at all. But if there's games where it's like, next week, like if Patrick just decided to just throw like a bunch of random guys in, against Mr. Hornick, like that would like piss me off so much,
Right.
But so like I think like that thinking is bad, even though it's only beneficial for like the person, which makes sense. It's like, why would I help somebody else a little bit? But definitely, I think there should be some sort of incentives, I guess negative incentives, like, again, for like, to avoid tanking.
Sure.
In like one of my other leagues, we have kind of just started a little bit of Dynasty. We're going to start doing it like year over year. And one guy is like in last place, and he pulls everybody out of his lineup for the last 3 weeks because he's like, I don't even want a chance at winning. So it's like, what the hell is this? Like everybody was pissed in that, and we're gonna like vote to like make you start active players like we do, which I think is a good thing that we do. That you can't just put like a bunch of zero guys in, without paying financially.
Right.
Which is like mostly, I think that's the primary incentive for like everybody playing in this league, that and just wanting to win.
Right.
But I mean, I don't know exactly if the lottery is the solution. I'm not 100%. I read a lot of the messages, but I haven't completely developed my own opinion on it.
Sure.
I'd say
Yes.
I have to see what works, modeled after some professional leagues or something.
Right. So I'll give you the two that were discussed in the Discord. So the one that you mentioned was the lottery system. So this would be, whoever finishes in last place would have X chance of getting the first overall pick. Maybe it's like 25%. Maybe they got a 25% chance of getting it. and then it slowly steps its way down to the team that finished in sixth place or seventh place. So I don't know exactly what you'd want, but probably seventh place has like 5% or worse odds of getting it. Something of that regard, but still possible. Or the one that your dad suggested, which was you pay for every loss that you have. So I think it came out to around like $7 a loss, or $3 a loss, 340. I don't know. I don't remember the exact number, but it was some amount per loss. And so basically, everybody would pay $50 flat fee at the beginning of the year, and then just because of the number of losses, you'd eventually make up the rest of the buy-in fee. But if your team's good, then you would pay like ideally less than $100, more than 50, but less than 100, unless you went undefeated. And then if you were bad, then you would pay more than 100 most likely, unless you finished exactly 500, in which case you'd pay the 100 like normal. So those are the two in the Discord. What are your thoughts on those two specifically?
Yeah, with the pay per loss, I think is interesting. I mean, it would hurt so much to like pay for that loss last week for me. for like, because I think, I mean, I guess it's depending on financial situations and stuff too. Like, I guess you could just say, hey, I'm still gonna tank. You're just paying more of the dues, which is an interesting thought. I'm maybe not entirely sold on it myself yet, but I probably have to see how it worked out. Like maybe we could do a mock-up of like what this year would look like,
right,
from a dues perspective. But and then the other one, like the lottery, is probably more favorable in my opinion, or like in my view, like that everybody kind of has a shot. I think it's I don't know. Sorry. I mean, I don't know how it's exactly worked out. I mean, NHL and NBA does that, right? With but I think it makes sense. Like Shinwoo should have, if he's not first, he should have like a 40% shot at getting first this next year. Like, just starting the year, his team is not in a good position to win. So it's, like at that point, what can you do to get better? And, mostly the answer is either you trade for somebody and you get lucky, or you're drafting talent.
Right.
Either in the free agent draft or the rookie draft. And the better you can be, I guess it makes sense. I just don't like when it affects like anything playoff related, or
right.
But you really can't like tell people like, hey, you can't take this week, or you can take this week.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I would say between those two specifically, my favorite is like the lottery system, because I think just because of financial situations, you don't want to be punishing people just because their team might be bad, because that's sort of out of their control. But so two alternative strategies that I heard on a podcast this past week. So one of them is, it's not like a super big incentive to not tank, but it guards against like being unlucky kind of during the year. So for example, if you're Austin and you scored a boatload of points, but like your record does not reflect that, this system basically 1 through 5 is based on record, but then that 6th spot is next highest points for. So you could have like the 6th best record, but you might not have the 6th most points, or you might not be the next highest points for. So then you would basically get leapfrogged by that, whatever that person is. So I think Austin's in like 7th or 8th place right now. So he would leap up to that 6th spot in the playoffs.
Okay. Yeah. Like for us right now, I guess it would be, 1, 2, 3. Well, I guess it would be Scott still, right?
Yeah, at the moment, I think it would still be Scott in this scenario. So this week for you would be all about not only winning, but you'd have to put up like a boatload of points to try and pass him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that would be, or yeah, I mean, actually, you could lose and still make it, I guess, in theory, if you lost by, by putting up like the second most points in the league, basically. But yeah, so that's like kind of an incentive to not tank in a way, because even if you suck record wise, you can still get in. Um, and then the other alternative, which is this one's a little more convoluted, but basically the regular season sort of ends in week 12, and you're locked in 1 through 4 on record. The fifth place team is in on points 4. So next highest points for gets fifth. And then sixth place is a week 13 King of the Hill tournament between the bottom 7 teams. And so the team that scores the most points in week 13 gets that wild card berth as the 6th seed. So in theory, a team like Kevin could just have one really good week and make his way into the 6th playoff spot. And so it would kind of prevent tanking in that way because you're never out of it, essentially. So it would incentivize you to not like trade off your best assets. That way you can still make it in if you want to. Or, I mean, you could just say, I'm still tanking anyway, but it's unlikely that you're going to have like 3 people doing it like me, Shinwoo, and Kevin are this year. So, yeah.
How would that work with like seeding for the rest?
Yep. So, basically, like that person would get in on points 4, and then the rest, it's just like your weeks 1 through 12 record.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's definitely something we could explore with, kind of. I know we've already kind of transitioned to like the points for like tiebreaker, but rewarding somebody like, I mean, like if Scott was like out of the playoffs right now, like that's kind of an unlucky spot for him because, like, if me and Scott were flipped right now, like record wise, where I was just above him, like, Scott would have outscored myself, Chris, and his dad. And it's like, does he deserve a playoff spot? Probably. As unfortunate as it is to like whoever the 6th seed would be, I think that's a possibility in the future that we could look at. I know that was already changed like year 1, where we had like the tiebreakers like splitting the head to head. I mean, just looking back at like my lineups through the year, I was like, dang, I really should have like, improved a couple spots or like wish I made some changes because like, even if I should be in a better spot like right now, if I scored 1 point. So, because every point matters when it adds up throughout this year, 13 weeks. So, I don't know. I mean, but I'm in that best ball, and it's been fun to just watch. Like watch and kind of not touch. And, like you're just scoring points every week, and you can't really control anything. But whoever drafted and managed the team from the beginning, it gets rewarded in the end, which has been pretty fun to. It's been a different experience, but.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that like best ball thing, I think that'd be a really cool format to do like as the side league. Maybe if we ever made like a just like a side redraft league like that, I think best ball would be awesome because then it would just be like the draft, and then we just get to watch what happens from there. Which would be pretty fun.
Yeah, it has been because in that league actually I've had the lead in weeks like 3 through 10, and I just lost it like 2 weeks ago, and now I'm like back like 70 from Peoria, and I'm like 40 ahead of Scott, and then it's like a mile of difference between us and like the rest of the competition. But because there's some like Mike Urbanic had McCaffrey and Dak. So like his team was like boom gone, because we haven't found a site that has the ability to do like waivers regularly. But it's been really interesting to see and follow throughout the year.
Right. Well, all right, Alex. That was a really good discussion. I think that a lot of these tanking topics are going to be a part of our winter GM meetings, or maybe not a winter GM meeting, but the free agent draft meeting that we have every year. So I'm looking forward to those discussions. Obviously, I am a big offender of the tank this year. I didn't want to. I'll just be quite honest. I didn't want to do it, and part of me doesn't even think I can tank hard enough to lose next week. I don't even know if it's possible. So I think I might have to settle for third overall, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe Kevin slips up or something and like leaves Adam Thielen in his lineup or something, and maybe I got a shot. But
yeah, we'll see, because you could go from, well, you're number 2 technically right now, right?
Yeah, technically I'm number 2. But because Shinwoo's going to lose this next week to Ryan, most likely he'll secure number 2, and then whoever wins between Kevin and I will get 1 or 3. So it'll be interesting. Yeah, I will say I see the Beast commenting on the YouTube live stream that if I do get the number 1 pick, it's on the block. I'll always take some offers. Because you never know. You never know what can happen. So if there's a quarterback involved in that trade for the number 1 overall pick, I'm all ears. So if I get it, it's on the block, just so everybody knows. So all right, and with that, we'll conclude episode 6 of the Heroes Hot Seat. This has been a lot of fun, Alex. Thanks for coming on with all these tough questions. Taking it like the proud owner that you are. You didn't dodge any of them. You just answered them honestly, and I really respect that. You're not here to take shots at other teams. You're here to own up for whatever happens this year, and I think that's the mark of a really really good franchise. So even though it might need a name change, I think it's a good franchise.
Yeah, we're kind of like the Washington football team. We might be in between names, but
the Washington football team, awesome. All right, man. Well, thanks for coming on. Next week, I am planning on having none other than one of the other franchisees this year, the expandees, the Krispy Kremes. We'll see if I can lock him down for next week. He's a busy guy. He's a busy man. He's got a busy schedule. So we'll see if he can make some room between his finals and stuff to come on the show. And if not, I got a nice little backup plan just in case. So plan on Chris.
I'm pretty sure he's done with school. So
all right.
Last I checked, so I think he's just sitting around doing puzzles at home. That's what I heard.
All right. Sounds good. Well, Chris, no excuses then. You're on the show next week, whether you like it or not. You'll be week 1 of the playoffs, and you'll be a postseason team in your first year in the league, something that I can't say that I have ever done. So I'm looking forward to hearing your expertise next week, Chris.
I'm hoping I can sneak in there and maybe get a revenge game. That'd be pretty fun.
Yeah, no, that'd be sweet. Maybe we see another Tyreek Hill 60-point affair, and Chris will have to keep up. So,
yep.
All right, man. Well, thanks for coming on. This has been a Heroes Hot Seat. Yeah, episode 6. Tune in next week for Chris, and that'll conclude the show for the evening. So, thanks for coming on, Alex.
Thank you. First exit here.